And so I'm going to start off this with the 5 biggest stories of the offseason. 5 to 1. 1 is obviously the biggest story of the offseason. And we will start with number 5, which is the aforementioned Caleb Williams to the Chicago Bears. Chicago's the 3rd biggest city in America and has not had an excellent quarterback since credit cards were invented. That's true. Like, no Bears fan has ever been like, I'm going to go to this game, watch a great quarterback, and swipe my card to pay for a beer. It was 1950. Sid Luckman was the last time they had excellent quarterback. They now have a superstar, and they have it in the right conference to have a superstar quarterback because it's the conference that might not have any superstar young quarterbacks, and aside from Stafford, might not have any superstar quarterbacks to begin with. Number 4, kind of a bad offseason for the defending NFC champion San Francisco 49ers. And so is Ayuk leaving? It would appear so. Even if he's not, there's that relationship seems to be in tatters. Christian McCaffrey, who has been impeccably healthy since he got to San Francisco, is dealing with a calf. Trent Williams, with 3 years left on his deal, wants a new one. Ricky Pearsall, their first-round pick, has suffered not 1, not 2, but 3 different injuries. Brock Purdy, ever since he decided to channel his inner Tom Brady, started channeling his inner Jeff George and just throwing pick after pick after pick in practice. I'm not saying the sky is falling in San Francisco. What I'm saying is this offseason has not exactly done a lot to quiet worries about a Super Bowl hangover. Number 3, this Chiefs wide receiver room is fast again. And Coach can be annoyed by this, but here are the facts. The last 2 years, the Chiefs have won Super Bowls with Juju as a featured receiver. He just couldn't make the Patriots. MVS is a featured receiver. He's about to get reportedly cut by the Bills. McCole Hardman is a featured receiver both years, and in the meantime, he couldn't make the Jets. So those were their 3 most reliable pass-catching options. Now they have Rashee Rice in year 2, Xavier Worthy. Yes, Hollywood Brown's dinged up, but it's not going to affect his speed. It's not a lower body injury. And more importantly, it is going to allow Travis Kelce to have daylight for the first time in a couple years because defenses are going to have to protect over the top. Number 2, and this was before the Son Reddick news came down, just what's going on with the Jets? Who's in charge? Do Saleh and Rodgers, are they on the same page? From minicamp to are they playing in preseason to can you practice in rain to, oh yeah, by the way, is Hassan Reddick on the team? Is he not on the team? All of that has been for a team that appears to be all in. They have been all in the headlines for not the greatest reasons this offseason. And then the number 1 biggest story this offseason, of course, is the Cowboys all-in offseason. We were told before free agency, we're all in. Since then, they were as passive as any team in free agency. They are dead last in the NFL in cash spending this year. They talked about a player they wanted to draft before they had actually drafted him and then missed out on being able to draft him. They have not signed Micah Parsons, Dak Prescott, or CeeDee Lamb. In other words, they've done nothing to show they were getting better while losing a couple offensive linemen, losing other pieces, and not creating a bad relationship, but not exactly creating great feelings with 3 of their best players by not re-signing them. So, Coach, those are the 5 biggest stories of the offseason. It's obviously an impeccable list with no Oh, Greg, you want to go first? Okay, yes, Greg.
I would like to.
All right, well, then go ahead.
So I'm just going to focus on your number 5 slot. I'm not going to even add to the list.
Oh, okay.
I'm just going to focus
as you
on
should,
Caleb.
because it's a perfect list.
And I'm going to focus here because I was one of those individuals that felt like the Chicago Bears were coming around last season, and I felt like, man, maybe they can still build something even with Justin Fields. It's not that I was knocking Caleb Williams. It's just he was a rookie coming in.
And what you could get for the number 1 pick.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so I'm like, you know what? Stick with Justin Fields. I'm glad they didn't listen to that.
Okay, yeah.
Because let me tell you something. When we saw C.J. Stroud last year in the preseason, they had him throwing the ball everywhere. And we kind of overlooked it. But it was early in the preseason. preseason game 1, preseason games 2, he was throwing the ball around the yard, making throws that we saw him make in the championship game in college, but we didn't see him do these types of things his entire career. And it was kind of like we glossed over it. Then the season came, and he changed the entire landscape of the Houston Texans organization. Moving forward into this season, now we see that they're potentially a Super Bowl contending team because of quarterback play. That is the Bears. After watching last, I'm not going to overlook the 2 drives. I'm not going to overlook a single pass that he threw. Not even the one that he threw out of the back of the end zone to just throw it away. They all look good. Every single throw.
I mean, he's right.
Every single throw was darn near impressive. I mean, I could rant and rave. I was watching this preseason game, Coach, and I know we don't like to put too much into it. As a player, we hate it. It's like, why are we even out here? But to watch this young man play and to make the off-balance throws, platforms like out of the pocket, show presence, didn't show a sign of a jitter, like not panic, jitter. He looked like, this is what I do. This is what I've been telling everybody. This is why you take me #1 overall. I come with great expectations, and I'm here to deliver. The Chicago Bears will be the biggest storyline come end the season.
So, Greg, first of all, you're incredibly nice, and your euphoria over Caleb Williams has glossed over how bad of a list this is by Nick. And this really, Nick, this is a preseason list if I ever saw a preseason Nick Wright list.
What do you mean?
Well, look, let's start with the Chiefs. What is it? Chiefs supercharged wide receiver.
Yeah.
Okay, that's important at your house. Not important.
Oh, really? The two-time defending Super Bowl champions going for a third straight Super Bowl, addressing the only weakness on the team that's not a story.
2 undersized fast guys. Okay, now we're supercharged. Got it.
Supercharged, yeah.
Okay,
fastest player in league history.
Led the league in drops last season, but
You're right. That's why it's a big story, Coach.
And Hollywood Brown caught 50% of the ball. So.
Well, again, right.
So, so there's that.
They're going to be better.
And then let's look at this one. Rodgers Saleh drama. That's not an off-season story. That's Monday.
Okay.
That's today. That's like there's nothing interesting or intriguing about that because that's how it is every single day of the week. Okay. So that's that one. And then we talk about the Dallas Cowboys all in. Well, we'll get to that for a second. You could have talked about Belichick not coaching for the first time in 45 years. You could have talked about you could have talked about the Steelers getting both Fields and Russell Wilson. That to me is way more intriguing. And then this last one about the Cowboys being all in and not being all in. Why don't you talk about the other Texas team? Okay, can we bring up the quote board? This is the team that's all in. This is the intriguing story. So now what do? They bring in a 1,000-yard rusher. They bring in a guy with 100+ receptions per year, and they bring in a guy who's had 10+ sacks. First time it's ever been done in NFL history, but the guy didn't have 10 sacks, he had 16. So this is a really intriguing story because they actually went all in. But, we could talk about the Cowboys for the 800th time on a list, and I think that's really nice.
Okay.
That's really nice that you did that.
All right, so
not predictable.
Listen, so the Texans are, again, this is why I'm America's most trusted list maker, is because people get confused.
Yeah, because it's such an easy list to make.
If the headline was biggest improvements, teams ready to take the leap, teams that improved the most, anything like that, then the Texans would be high on it. But it was the biggest offseason stories. And, a team with a quarterback on a rookie contract, adding 3 veterans, which is a smart thing to do, is not a big story. The Texans are doing exactly what they're supposed to do, and I do agree.
But they go get 3 players of that caliber, which hasn't been done for a team that historically hasn't been very well run.
I'm rolling with you, Coach, because it would be a big story if the Chiefs had gone out and done something like this.
Oh, yeah, Chiefs supercharged offseason.
Hold on, just for a moment here. If you guys are saying that, yes, more attention would be paid if the 2-time defending Super Bowl champs had done something, that is true, because more attention is paid to the 2-time defending Super Bowl champs.
Can I just say something? Yeah. People trust you to identify what the true big story is.
And I'm telling you.
Not what everybody else in the world puts out as, hey, this is a big story.
Okay, I got that, and I appreciate that. I think maybe one of the reasons I'm not quite as high on the Texans offseason, even though I'm high on them as a team as you guys are, and we can stay on this for a moment before we move on, is of those three guys, the only one that I think is a true difference maker is Danielle Hunter. I don't know that Diggs is going to be more than the wide receiver number 3 for them, and I don't know how that's going to land with him.
Think about that, though.
Well,
that he could go there and be wide receiver number 3.
If he's okay with that in a contract year, that's one thing. And Joe Mixon is nothing against Joe Mixon. I'm just always skeptical of the near 30-year-old running back on a new team.
That's fair.
And but I do think Danielle Hunter is a great addition by them, but they lost, I'm trying to remember, they brought him in to replace their edge rusher that they lost this offseason. But I think Hunter's excellent.
Well, you're not skeptical of a receiver that only caught 50% of his balls last year.
No,
he's going to supercharge the role.
I don't think.
Look, you're just coming from a speed angle.
Well-placed skepticism.
I think that you are overestimating the impact I believe Hollywood Brown is going to have as far as catches, and underestimating the impact he's going to have by existing. By the impact of just being on the field and stretching the defense down the field. That's what I think.
And I'm glad you brought to my attention that Saleh and Rodgers are having controversy.
Okay,
Nobody knew that.
That was, Coach, you're it was not under the radar stories.
5 biggest stories.
Yes, exactly. And that was a massive story all offseason. You didn't understand the list.
Nobody ever has conflict with Aaron Rodgers.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I blame the producers, not you. They didn't explain, Christina didn't explain the list properly.
No, she had nothing to do.
You got it perfectly.
She explained it clearly.
Greg, great job.
Yeah, if you agree with Nick, you understand.
Caleb, is he already a top 5 quarterback? Sounds like Greg thinks he might be. We do it next. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.